Digital transformation is entering a new phase defined by scale, intelligence, and measurable business impact. Across industries, adoption is no longer experimental. 88% of companies now use AI in at least one business function, reflecting how deeply intelligent technologies have become embedded in enterprise workflows. Yet, despite this widespread adoption, only a small share, roughly 6% of companies, qualify as true high performers capable of turning AI pilots into sustained company wide value. The gap between experimentation and the execution is one of the defining trends of the current moment. Companies are eager to deploy AI, but many still struggle to scale it, govern it, and redesign processes around it. At the same time, the economic momentum behind digital transformation continues to accelerate. Global AI market size has reached approximately $298 billion in 2025, and that's driven by enterprise adoption and explosive growth in generative AI tools. Adoption rates are rising fast. 77% of companies are using or actively testing AI, and 60% of enterprises now use generative AI to boost employee productivity. Meanwhile, Deloitte's 2026 enterprise report shows that worker access to AI increased 50% in 2025, and the number of companies expecting at least 40% of their AI experiments to reach production is set to double within the next 6 months. These numbers signal a shift from digitalization, and that's simply moving processes online, to intelligence, where systems learn, where they adapt, and where they operate autonomously. Another defining trend is the rise of agentic AI. The global AI agent market is projected to grow from 8 billion in 2025 to more than 50 billion by 2030, reflecting a massive shift towards autonomous digital workers that are embedded in customer service, software engineering, sales, and operations. Yet governance is lagging. Only 1 in 5 companies has a mature oversight model for autonomous AI agents, even as usage is expected to surge in the next 2 years. This imbalance between capability and control is shaping the boardroom conversations about risk, ethics, and strategic advantage. If you've been listening to this podcast series and watching our live streams, our webinars, or any of our video content that this series produces, you already know that we're a huge believer in tools that make digital communication simple, professional, and reliable. And that's exactly why I choose StreamYard and their advanced plan for everything I do for audio, video, live streaming, and on air webinar sessions. StreamYard gives you studio quality experience right in your browser. There's no downloads, there's no complicated setups. It's clean, it's powerful, it's a production tool that lets you focus on delivering your message. And with the advanced plan, I get multi streaming to multiple platforms, custom branding, local recordings, and the kind of stability you need when you're broadcasting to a global audience. It's the backbone of my digital workflow, and it's the reason my shows look and sound the way they do. If you're ready to elevate your podcast, your live streams, your webinars, or digital events, I highly recommend checking out StreamYard for yourself. Our referral link is in this episode's description. So take a look, explore the features, save a little bit of money, and see why so many creators and professionals trust StreamYard to power their content. And now let's get this topic started. Digital transformation has reached a point where the old language no longer fits the reality. Unfolding inside modern businesses. For years, companies celebrated the move from paper to digital, from manual to automated, from physical to cloud. But the first wave of digitalization was only the warm up. Today, the real shift is happening in how companies think, how they decide, and how they operate. Systems are no longer passive repositories of information. They're becoming active participants in the enterprise. They analyze patterns, they anticipate disruptors, and they recommend actions before leaders even ask the question. This is the moment where digital transformation stops being about technology adoption and starts becoming an organizational intelligence. What makes this moment so consequential is the widening gap between companies that have merely digitized and those that have embraced intelligence as a strategic capability. Digitized organizations still rely on dashboards that describe what happened yesterday. Intelligent organizations operate on systems that predict what will happen tomorrow. Digitized organizations automate tasks. Intelligent organizations automate decisions. Digitized organizations collect data. Intelligent organizations turn data into foresight. This shift is not theoretical. It's reshaping competitive advantage in real time. And the companies that learn faster, adopt faster, adapt faster, and act faster, they're pulling away from the pack, not because they have more technology, but because they have smarter systems and they're more agile related to digital. This episode begins at that crossroads. It asks a simple but uncomfortable question. Has your company truly transformed, or has it just digitized its old habits? Because the next wave of digital transformation isn't about adding more tools, more dashboards. It's about building enterprises that can sense, that can think, and that can respond with the intelligence and speed that today's world demands. And companies willing to make that leap will define the next decade of industry leadership. The shift from digitization to intelligence represents one of the most profound turning points in modern business. Digitization was about converting the physical into the digital, paper to PDFs, in person workflows to online forums, manual reporting to dashboards. It made companies faster and more connected, but it didn't fundamentally change how they think or how they operate. Intelligence changes that. Intelligence is what happens when digital systems stop acting like filing cabinets and start acting like collaborators. Systems that interpret data, anticipate needs, and make decisions in real time. This is the moment when technology stops being a tool and becomes a partner in shaping outcomes. What changed is the convergence of three forces: data, compute, and autonomy. Companies now generate more data in a single day than they did once in a year. Cloud and edge computing have made it possible to process that data instantly. And AI has matured to the point where it can learn from patterns and act on them without waiting for a human to provide instruction. The result is a new class of systems that don't just record what happened, they understand the why it happened and what should happen next. This is a leap from digitization to intelligence, and it is redefining competitive advantage across every single industry. So the companies that recognize this shift, they're already redesigning their operations around intelligent workflows, predictive insights, and autonomous decision cycles. Those that don't, they risk being trapped in a digital past, surrounded by modern tools, but still operating with outdated thinking. The three pillars of intelligent transformation mark the moment when companies stop treating technology as a set of tools and start treating it as a foundation of how they operate. Intelligent data is the first pillar, and it represents a fundamental shift in how companies understand their own environment. Instead of collecting data as historical record, intelligent organizations treat data as a living asset, dynamic, contextual, and predictive. Real-time analytics, streaming insights, and machine-interpreted signals allow businesses to move from mindset to foresight. In this world, data doesn't just describe what happened, it guides what should happen next. It becomes the raw material for every intelligent decision, every automated workflow, and every adaptive system. The second pillar, intelligent workflows, transforms the way work actually gets done. Traditional workflows are linear, they're rule based, and they're dependent on human intervention at every single step. Intelligent workflows are adaptive. They learn from patterns, they adjust to changing conditions, and they're optimized by themselves in real time. AI identifies the bottlenecks, it reallocates resources, and it automates decisions that once required layers of human review. This doesn't eliminate people, it elevates them. Human roles shift from repetitive execution to oversight, to creativity, and exception handling. The business becomes faster, it becomes more resilient, and it becomes more capable of responding to complexity. And the third pillar, intelligent infrastructure, brings autonomy into the physical world. Sensors, digital twins, and AI driven control systems turn pipelines, power grids, industrial factories, and fleets into assets. They can monitor themselves, they can diagnose issues, they can even initiate corrective actions instead of reacting to failures. Businesses anticipate them. Instead of relying on scheduled maintenance, they rely on predictive maintenance. Intelligent infrastructure closes the loop between the digital and the physical worlds. It creates systems that can sense, that can think, and can act with minimal human intervention. Together, these three pillars form the architecture of the intelligent enterprise. They redefine what it means to operate, to compete, and to innovate in a world where speed, adaptability, and insight determine who leads and who falls behind. Intelligent transformation becomes real when you can point to concrete examples, moments where systems stop being passive tools and start behaving like active partners in the business. One of the clearest signs is the rise of autonomous operations. These are environments where AI continuously monitors, it conditions, it predicts disruptions, and it adjusts workflows without waiting for human intervention. In supply chains, this looks like routing algorithms that reroute shipments in real time based on weather, port congestion, or inventory levels. In manufacturing, it, it's production lines that automatically balance workloads, detect unusual events, and optimize throughput. And in field operations, it's intelligent scheduling systems that deploy technicians based on predictive equipment failures rather than fixed maintenance intervals. These aren't futuristic concepts, they're happening now, and they're redefining what operational excellence looks like. Another powerful example is AI augmented decision making, where leaders rely on machine generated insights to evaluate scenarios, to assess risk, and choose strategic paths. Instead of static dashboards, executives now use predictive models that simulate outcomes, that test assumptions, and highlight blind spots. This changes the rhythm of leadership. Decisions become faster, they become more evidence based and less vulnerable to bias or incomplete information. It also democratizes insight. Frontline teams gain access to the same predictive intelligence as senior leadership, and this enables more alignment and agile action across an organization. The third dimension is a human machine collaboration where AI co pilots and automation layers elevate the workforce rather than replace it. Employees spend less time on repetitive tasks and more time on creativity, problem solving, and importantly, innovation. Customer service agents work alongside AI assistants that summarize conversations and recommend next steps. Engineers use generative design tools to explore thousands of design variations in seconds, and analysts rely on AI to surface patterns that they would have never spotted manually. The result is a workforce that is not only more productive, but more capable of tracking and tackling complex, high value challenges. Now, these examples show that intelligent transformation is not a technological upgrade. It is a true shift in how companies operate, how they decide, and also to how they compete. Businesses trying to move from digitalization to true intelligence often discover that the biggest obstacles aren't technical. They're cultural, they're structural, and they're strategic. One of the most persistent barriers is legacy thinking, where leaders assume that adding new tools to old processes that equals transformation. These companies digitize their workflows but keep the same decision-making rhythms, the same approval chains, and the same siloed structures. The result is a modern facade wrapped around outdated habits. Intelligent transformation requires rethinking how work flows, how decisions are made, and how teams collaborate. Without that mindset shift, even the most advanced AI system will end up underused, misaligned, or bolted onto processes that were never designed to be intelligent in the first place. Another major barrier is data fragmentation, which prevents companies from building the unified intelligence layer they need. Intelligent systems rely on clean, connected, real time data, yet most companies still operate with isolated databases, incompatible platforms, and inconsistent data standards. This fragmentation makes it impossible for AI to see the full picture, limiting its ability to predict, to optimize, or automate. Even when businesses invest heavily in AI, the lack of a strong data foundation keeps them stuck in pilot mode, unable to scale insights across the enterprise. Cultural resistance also plays a significant role. Employees worry about automation replacing their roles, while leaders struggle to trust AI driven recommendations. This creates hesitation, slow adoption, and the tendency to revert to manual decision making, even when intelligence systems are available at the same time. Ethical and governance challenges, bias, transparency, accountability, well, these add another layer of complexity. And many companies lack clear frameworks for responsible AI use, which leads to uncertainty and slows deployment. Intelligent transformation demands not just new technology, but new norms, new skills, and new governance models that build trust and clarity across the business. These barriers matter because they determine whether a company becomes adaptive and intelligent or remains stuck in a digitized version of its past. Moving forward, intelligence requires a deliberate shift in strategy, not just an upgrade in tools. The companies that succeed begin by identifying high value use cases. These are specific processes where intelligence can create measurable impact quickly instead of trying to transform everything. They target areas where prediction, automation, or adaptive workflows can immediately reduce cost, increase speed, or improve reliability. These early wins build momentum. They demonstrate value to leadership and they create internal champions who drive broader adoption. Intelligent transformation is not a big bang initiative. It's a sequence of strategic, high impact moves that compound over time. The next step is building a unified data foundation because intelligence cannot thrive on fragmented or inconsistent information. Companies that excel treat data as infrastructure, something to be engineered, governed, and maintained with the same rigor as physical assets are. They invest in real time data pipelines, shared standards, and accessible platforms that allow AI to see across the entire enterprise. This foundation enables the second phase of the playbook, adopting AI as a co-pilot rather than a replacement. When employees see AI as a partner that enhances their judgment, reduces friction, and eliminates repetitive work, adoption accelerates naturally. The business becomes more confident, more curious, and more willing to experiment. And finally, intelligent transformation requires a culture of experimentation, and that's going to be supported by responsible governance. Leaders must encourage teams to test ideas, learn quickly, and to iterate without fear of failure. And at the same time, they must establish clear frameworks for transparency, for fairness, and accountability in AI driven decisions. This balance, freedom to innovate paired with the guardrails that build trust, is what allows intelligence to scale safely and sustainably. When these systems come together, organizations don't just deploy intelligent systems, they become intelligent systems. If you've been following my work, whether it's podcasting, live streaming, or the digital content I produce across platforms, you know that I'm always looking for tools that elevate both quality and efficiency. And one of the most powerful tools in my workflow right now is 11 Labs, specifically their creator plan. The creator plan gives you access to some of the most advanced AI voice technology available today. We're talking natural, expressive, studio grade voice generation. And it's perfect for narration, for promos, training content, and even multilingual delivery. It's fast, it's flexible, and it integrates seamlessly into a modern creator's production pipeline. So whether you're building a brand, producing educational content, or scaling your digital presence, 11 Labs gives you the ability to sound polished, consistent, and professional every time. And if you're ready to take your audio production to the next level, I highly recommend checking out 11 Labs Creator Plan for yourself. My referral link to set up your account and save a little money when you pay for the plan, well, that link is in this episode's description. So take a moment to explore what 11 Labs can do for your content. The Creator Plan isn't just one of those tools that doesn't just improve your workflow, it transforms it. So create smarter, create faster, create with 11 Labs. Now let's go ahead and close out this episode. The future unlocked by intelligent systems is a future where businesses operate with a level of speed, foresight, and adaptability that simply wasn't possible in the digitization era. When systems can sense their environment, interpret signals, and act autonomously, businesses shift from reacting to events to shaping them. Imagine an enterprise where disruptions are anticipated before they materialize, where workflows adjust themselves in real time, and where leaders make decisions with a clear view of multiple possible futures. This is the promise of intelligence, a world where companies become proactive, predictive, and resilient by design. It's not just about efficiency, it's about fundamentally changing the rhythm of how a business operates. What intelligence truly unlocks is strategic agility. Companies gain the ability to pivot faster than their competitors, to innovate continuously, and to respond to complexity with confidence rather than hesitation. Intelligent systems free human talent from repetitive tasks and elevate them into roles that require creativity, judgment, and strategic thinking. They enable new business models, autonomous services, self optimizing supply chains, and real time customer personalization, and infrastructure that maintains itself. And perhaps most importantly, intelligence unlocks a new kind of organizational culture, one that learns, that adapts, and evolves as quickly as the world around it. This is a competitive edge in the next decade, and the organizations that embrace it will define the future of their industries. As we wrap up this episode, it's clear that the journey from digitalization to intelligence is more than just a technological evolution. It's a redefinition of how modern businesses think, how they operate, and how they compete. We're entering into an era where intelligent systems don't just support the business, they actively shape its direction. They anticipate disruptions, they optimize workflows, and they elevate human decision making in ways that were unimaginable even a few years ago. This shift isn't about replacing people, it's about empowering them with the tools that expand their capabilities and accelerate their impact. And for leaders willing to embrace the next wave, the opportunities are extraordinary. So, thank you for joining me on this exploration of what intelligence transformation truly means. Your time, your curiosity, and your commitment to staying ahead of the curve are what makes conversations like this so valuable. The digital revolution is not a distant concept, it's happening right now in real time across every industry and every level of enterprise. I really appreciate you being part of this community of forward thinkers who are ready to challenge assumptions, to rethink old models, and to build intelligent businesses of tomorrow. Until next time, stay curious, stay adaptive, and keep leading the revolution forward. And with that, everyone have a good rest of your evening, your night, or morning, no matter where in the world you're watching this live stream. Thank you.